morning, good morning. And good morning to all of our grandparents who are in Hamilton, the Hamilton room. We're delighted that you all are all here this morning. This is just a fantastic day for us here at Westminster. My name is Keith Evans. I'm the president here at Westminster, and I know many of you because you have been grandparents with us for some time now, and others of you are just new and freshly hatched grandparents at Westminster. But to all of you, I'd like to say a very, very warm welcome this morning. We are just delighted to have you here and on campus and with our students, your grandchildren. I have a friend who for some months was anticipating the arrival of a grandchild. And I could tell every time that I spoke with him that this was something that was on his mind all the time, and something that in the anticipation brought a smile to his face every time he talked about it. And I asked him at one point, I said, "So this is gonna ruin you, isn't it?" And he said, "Yes, this is gonna ruin me." And so this grandchild was recently born, and I happened to run into him just the other day along with his wife. And I asked his wife, "So how's this thing going?" And she said, "Well, it's all that he does. He goes over to the house, he races to the baby, he gets the baby immediately stops crying. He's, got this magic with the baby and so forth." And she said in her own words, it has ruined him. And then, I was talking to him about it a little bit later on, and he was giving me this kind of inventory of all the work he has not done since this grandchild has arrived. And I suspect for many of you all, that memory aligns with some of your own memories around the arrival of your grandchildren, those children who are among us and students here at Love Hall. I suspect for many of you all, the anticipation of that arrival was just some of the sweetest moments of your life. The actual arrival itself probably ruined you in some ways. And this day, in some ways, is sort of the next chapter of that, where the anticipation and then the arrival turns into an inventor, turns into a young person in our design thinking lab who are thinking through new ways to solve problems and new things that we might invent to solve those problems. It is something that's turned into scholars who study everything from bees to India and everything in between. It's turned into citizens who think not just about their friends who are sitting next to them and how they can be kind and thoughtful and gracious human beings, but also think about their broader community in ways that they can serve both in Atlanta and well beyond Atlanta. And it has also turned into leaders. And it is not often that we talk about elementary school students as leaders, but I would tell you that these kids are turning into leaders, and I would invite you to look for that today as you circulate among both your own grandchildren and the other children here at Love Hall. Our students here in the lower school are learning how not only to speak up for themselves, but also to speak up for this community, for their friends, and for people who they may not even know, but for whom they have great concern. And so this is an interesting day in the sense that anticipation has now sort of turned. And it is actually them that are experiencing the sweet sense of anticipating your arrival into their classroom. It's them who are anxiously awaiting. Many of them are ruined by the fact that you're here today. Many of them haven't really thought about anything else both this whole week and this morning. Some of them probably have on mismatched socks. Some of them don't have their hair done. Some of them are really flummoxed by the fact that you're here because you mean so much to them. Because the anticipation that you had of their arrival is now met with their anticipation of your arrival. And so we're really grateful that you're here. We're grateful for them. We know this is a very special day for them. We know this is a detour from your schedule to be with them. But we're really grateful because this community of support that extends beyond our families, our parents and the siblings, but also to the extended families that are represented here in our grandparents is really, really special to these kids and supports them in becoming all of who they are. We have a few special thank yous to say. We want to thank all of the the many members of our parents' pause here at Westminster who have made this possible, and particularly Wimberly McPhail, who's our grandparent chair, but you saw lots and lots of other parent volunteers here this morning who have just helped us with logistics and greeting. We're really grateful to them. We're really grateful to Ann and Tim Irwin, who are our grandparent chairs this year, former parents of graduates from 2000 and also 1997, former trustee. Tim served the school for 6 years as a trustee. We're really grateful for them, and really grateful that their grandchildren are here to introduce them. And so at this time, I would like to call forward Darby Irwin, class of 31, and Drew Irwin, class of 28, to introduce Ann and Tim Irwin.
Good morning. My name is Darby Irwin.
And I am Drew Irwin. We would like to share with you our grandparents, Nene and Dado Irwin.
Almost every week we have marvelous Mondays with Nene.
Nene picks us up at carpool and takes us somewhere fun like Chuck E. Cheese.
Or a yoga land.
Or Chick-fil-A, where we get milkshakes.
We also get to go to an art gallery or her house.
Dado has a kid's room with electric trains in it. We each get our own train.
Mine is pink and purple. We love sleepovers at Nene's and Dado's house.
Nene gives us back tickles when we go to sleep. And now we would like to share our grandparents with you. Introducing Nene and Dado Irwin.
Well, Drew and Darby, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'll remember that forever. You know, when your daddy and Uncle Bill were still living in our home, they were growing up, we used to tell them that we thought they were the space shuttle. And our job as parents was to get them into the highest orbit possible. And so everything we did, we wanted to give them that advantage academically, socially, spiritually, athletically, in every possible way. So they were the space shuttle. We said we were, by the way, the solid rocket boosters, if you remember, on the side of the shuttle. And so we would try and get them into the highest orbit possible, and then we would break off and parachute into the ocean, hopefully near a nice beach. But we wanted to give them every advantage. The fuel that went into those solid rocket boosters was something our family did. We wanted to give them faith, we wanted to give them values, we wanted to teach them about character, about resilience, about wisdom, judgment. But we particularly are grateful to this school, this place, for the fuel that they put into those solid rocket boosters. And they gave you guys, you and your brother, an incredible lift into a very high orbit. And we are so grateful. So many of the things that we marvel at today in our sons, the schools that they were able to go to, the careers they pursued, the incredibly talented, smart, beautiful women they married, one who's sitting here, we believe are so tied to their experience here at Westminster. And we are so grateful to not only the academics that they received, but also the extracurriculars, the faculty, the facilities, the curriculum, the peers, all the things that contributed to this very high-octane experience that they had here. It was truly amazing. One of the things that I learned as I got more involved over the years at Westminster is this high-octane fuel is expensive, it's costly. And so much goes into it. And we are so privileged to have such an outstanding group of people that shepherd and are stewards of our children. I was thanking Whit earlier for taking such great care of our grandchildren. And we're so appreciative of that. But it is costly. And so when Keith called me a few months ago to ask if we would be chairs of the Grandparents Fund, I said, absolutely. And Ann and I want to invite you to join us in giving generously this year to the Grandparents Fund. And so you'll be getting a letter from us here in a few weeks, and Ann and I'll linger after this is over. If you have questions, we'll be happy to talk with you. But we think we as a group of grandparents have a special privilege of supporting this incredible endeavor. So we thank you for that in advance. One of the people that I have admired so much is Whit McKnight, and before you come up, I just have to tell you, I did a survey of my grandchildren as to what's Mr. McKnight really like. And so these are the adjectives I heard: awesome, kind, and cool. They said nothing ruffles Mr. McKnight. So please join me in welcoming the head of the lower school, Whit McKnight.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? You guys don't sound like you're awake quite yet, so we'll try that again. No worries. This is lower school. You get more than one chance. Good morning. How are you? Good morning. Wonderful, wonderful. Tim, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Lots of love for your family and such great partnership over the years. I am very keen on the fact that I am the only voice that stands in between you and what you really came here to see. And so I am going to make my remarks brief but to the point. I'd be remiss if I didn't say how important you are to the lives of your grandchildren. I think about a quote from a famous comedian, Sam Levinson, passed away years ago, and he said, "The reason why grandchildren and grandparents get along so well is because they have a common enemy," right? Right? And I think what he really meant by that was that when grandparents come around, things are just different. They're just different. I remember when my grandmother used to come to visit. She was from the island of Panama. She would come to visit, and there was just something about her vibe, her essence, that just made our household different, right? The rules disappeared. One cookie turned into two. And I remember my parents just weren't so uptight. And I thought to myself, wow, finally there is someone in the house that can get my parents in trouble. And it was a good feeling. But the most important thing that I remember was that my grandparents had a bias to the word yes, right? And so any question I asked, any idea that I had, they would always answer, yes, yes you can, or why not try it? And some people would think that this is spoiling or ruining, right? But I see it as really cultivating innovation, cultivating curiosity. And when I think about the legacy that you're building in terms of the institution of yes and what that transfers into our students, that means that every single day they come into this building feeling like they can. They see the possibilities and the impossible. They see challenges as opportunities, and it makes experiences like a design thinking or like a project-based learning a catalyst to all of the greatness that they bring to the table each and every day. I was having a conversation with Keith earlier this week and talking with him about how blessed I feel to be in this role, because when I was growing up, principals, their offices, there were the places where you got in trouble, right? That's where you got sent if you got in trouble. And I remember my principal well, not because I was in trouble, but Mr. Kornblum, he had a vibe about him, and I wouldn't necessarily define him as awesome, cool, or kind, but he was scary. He was scary. And I like to think that when our students enter this environment, they don't see our teachers as being scary. They see them as being individuals that are going to embrace them, honor their uniqueness, and really help to be those shuttles to reach to that next orbit. And so I like to say that, I see more children in my office, not for trouble, but because of trust. They trust that this school and that my office is a place that they can come to share their ideas. And they know that when they have something that sparks their interest, there's going to be a team of people around them to help catapult them to the next level. So here's the thing. I could go on and on for days about these experiences because I have the great fortune of being able to live and breathe it each and every day. But in a moment, you'll have an opportunity to see it for yourselves. But before that, I would love to share with you a special video that shows a day in the life of our lower school students. If you'll please direct your attention to my left.
Every day is a new adventure at Westminster.
I wake up every morning wondering what's going to happen today.
When I walk into the lower school, it's a great feeling of joy. We have children who get out of their cars and run into the school building, so you can't help but catch the joy and the energy of the children.
We strive to match that excitement. When you walk in Love Hall, you feel like you instantly belong. You are accepted for who you are.
The heart of the child is essential. We start with morning meeting in every one of our homerooms. We dedicate the first 30 minutes to social emotional learning. Every child's name is spoken. The classmates gather in a circle. They open up their hearts and they become a community.
When I get to morning meeting, I learn something new about my friends.
And I tell them something special about me.
We have very artistic kids. We have kids that love math and love music. The one thing that joins them all is that they are all curious. They have so many questions, and Westminster is the place where we're going to help them answer those questions.
There is no cookie cutter lesson because so much student voice and choice goes into it. There's a lot of synergy in the classroom. They step out of their comfort zone. They grow. It's impossible to have the same day twice. That's what makes learning here so wonderful.
Sometimes I discover something cool about the world, or math, or my teachers.
Sometimes I get to work with my friends, but it doesn't feel like work.
It's like play that makes you smarter. I love going to different classes like Spanish or art or music. Sometimes we do projects that are about something we're learning in class.
I especially love design thinking. We get to build a lot of prototypes.
We have 2 master's level teachers in each homeroom of 20 students, allowing for a lot of individualized attention and nurturing.
We want to help guide them to be the adults that they're imagining.
That confidence spills over into that they can follow their dreams, they can push the envelope in what they want to learn.
When I have an idea, my teachers always listen to me and encourage me. I always feel like they care about what I have to say. They know so much about me, and they always know how to make the class interesting.
There's so much love in this building. That helps learning.
With my teachers and my friends and everything we learn,
I can't imagine going to school anywhere else.
when I walk out of school, all I can think about is how great my day will be tomorrow.
So I know what you're thinking. You're wishing, like, wow, I wish I could go back to elementary school, right? But fortunately, we get to do the next best thing, and that's partner with each other along that journey. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being that first inspiration for their curiosity. And in many ways, just by your mere essence, you've given us a gift. But I've also given you a gift, right? And the gift is that when your sons and daughters get upset with you for saying yes, you can say, look, my grandson or granddaughter's principal said I'm inspiring innovation, right? That's your new line. That's your new line. So in a moment, you're gonna have an opportunity to go see just this wonderful experience that your grandchildren get to have and your special friends get to have each and every day. But before that, just a few things. As we dismiss, we're gonna make sure that our front area just dismisses through these doors and the back through the back doors. Also just wanna make sure that as you check out, that before you leave the building, that you check in with your child's homeroom teacher so that they know that they're leaving. Know that our shuttles will be running continuously throughout the morning's program so that you can get back and forth to your cars and just enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful, wonderful experience this morning. I can't wait to meet and run into some of you. There's just a great familiarity as I look at your faces. I feel like I know you already because I see your grandchildren in you. And with that, once again, thank you for everything that you've done for us, and we're so excited about today. Peace.